All right, so today we're going deep on Zoe Whittall's novel, Holding Still for as Long as Possible.
Oh, yeah. I've heard good things about this one.
Yeah, it seems like it's gotten some good buzz, and we've got a pretty in-depth review here that I think will give us a lot to unpack.
Excellent.
Our mission today is not just to, kind of rehash the plot or anything like that,
Right.
but to really understand the core of this family.
Yeah. The Kendalls.
The Kendalls, exactly.
And what their story, tells us about, about ourselves and about being human.
Yeah, about family, about these big issues. I mean, that's what this book seems to be dealing with.
Yeah. From what I know of Whittall's work, she never shies away from the tough stuff.
No, she doesn't.
She really gets in there.
So let's get into this family dynamic.
Okay.
We have Sally, the mother,
Okay.
former punk rocker, now struggling artist,
Interesting.
battling addiction and trauma.
Oh, wow. So she's got a lot going
A
on.
lot going on. And then you've got her adult children,
Okay.
Billy,
All right.
the charming but self-destructive musician.
Oh, I know that type.
Yeah, burdened by all these family expectations.
Oh, so there's that added layer.
And then there's Kate,
Okay.
who seems like the more stable one,
Right.
wants a normal life. But yeah, how can you have a normal life when all this is going on?
Yeah, you're kind of swimming in it.
Exactly. And then kind of overseeing all of this is the grandmother, Ruth,
Uh-huh.
who is this kind of stoic figure holding on to all these family secrets.
So there's a lot of history there that we don't know about yet.
A lot of history.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting how Whittall, the review talks about this too, how she doesn't present these as isolated lives.
Right.
Everyone is affecting everyone else.
It's all intertwined.
It's a
It's
system.
better or for worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes those family systems can be so hard to break free from.
So let's talk about Whittall's writing style, because the review really highlights this.
Okay. Yeah. How does she bring these characters to life?
It's raw,
Okay.
unflinching,
Uh-huh.
incisive.
Because she
You know-
doesn't hold back.
No, she doesn't hold back.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not gratuitous.
Right.
It's capturing the vulnerability of these characters, but also their energy.
Yeah.
That raw energy.
Yeah, like the underlying pulse of life, even in the midst of all the struggles.
And there's a brutal honesty to it, but also this really clever use of shifting perspectives.
I was going to say, that's something I always admire in a writer.
Oh, yeah.
The ability to get inside different characters' heads.
Like you're really in their thoughts and feelings.
And it's not about judging them.
No, not at all.
It's about trying to understand their perspective, even if you don't agree with their choices.
Because everyone's got their reasons, right?
Exactly. And sometimes those reasons are buried deep down.
So then we get to these big themes.
Okay, the core of it all.
Addiction,
Yeah, that's a big one.
mental illness, family dysfunction.
Oh, wow.
And the review really emphasizes that Whittall doesn't offer any easy answers.
Right? No simple solutions.
No happy endings tied up in a neat bow.
Because that's not real life.
It's not real life. And I think that's what's so powerful about this book.
Yeah. You're really forced to confront these messy, complicated truths.
It's messy. It's cyclical. These characters, they just keep running up against their own limitations and each other's limitations.
And I think that lack of sentimentality makes the emotional impact even stronger.
Yeah, you're not being let off the hook.
Right. You're right there with them experiencing the rawness of it all.
But the review also points out that there's a balance.
Okay, so it's not all bleakness?
No, there are these moments of tenderness,
Oh, that's good to hear.
even some humor.
Okay, so like glimmers of light.
Glimmers of light, yeah, and this underlying sense of resilience.
That human capacity to keep going even when things are tough.
Exactly. And the possibility of connection and maybe even redemption.
Even if it's just a flicker.
Yeah, it peeks through even in the darkest moments.
I think that's what makes it ultimately hopeful,
Yeah, without those moments, it would be too much.
overwhelming.
But by showing those glimmers of hope, it makes it more realistic.
I think it's about finding those moments of grace amidst the chaos.
So, the review does say that this book might not be for everyone
Right.
because it is so unflinching.
It's dealing with some heavy stuff.
Heavy stuff, the addiction, the self-destructive behavior.
The tone can be pretty somber at times.
Yeah, it's not exactly a light beach read.
But sometimes those are the books that stay with you the most.
The ones that make you think.
The ones that challenge you to look at the world in a new way.
So I guess to kind of sum up what we've learned from this deep dive,
Yeah, what are the big takeaways?
holding still for as long as possible seems to be this really powerful and honest portrait of a family.
Yeah.
Dealing with some very real, very difficult issues.
Addiction. mental illness, those are things that touch so many lives.
But it's not just about the darkness.
Right, there's that glimmer of hope, too.
There's hope, there's resilience, and there's that sense that even in the midst of all this messiness,
There's still the possibility of connection.
yeah, and maybe even redemption.
So it's a challenging read, but ultimately a rewarding one.
Definitely something to think about.
Yeah, it makes you question what it really means to be a family.
And how do we define normal anyway?
Right, because everyone's got their own version of normal.
Maybe there's no such thing.
Maybe it's all just about embracing the messiness.
And finding those connections wherever we can.
Yeah, that's a good thought to leave us with.
So I guess the question I'll leave you with is, how do the stories we tell ourselves about family,
Yeah.
these idealized versions,
The perfect family myth.
exactly, how do those clash with the realities we see in books like this?
And what can we learn from exploring those darker, more complex narratives?
That's something to ponder, I think.
Definitely food for thought.
All right, well, that wraps up our deep dive on holding still for as long as possible.
It's been a good one.
Until next time.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.